your pursuit to become a pilot, right? Where does that come from? Because I know you said you had that vision from very early on, but like, where does that come from?
So the trips played a part. I really loved the airport thing.
Yeah.
There's a vibe about the airport. You're going somewhere.
Yeah.
The lights, standing in line to queue to board the plane, the duty free on the ramp, walking to the plane, on the bus, going to the plane, boarding the plane, taking that peek on the left to see the cockpit, seeing those shiny stuff, the uniform, the cabin crew, the plane, sitting down, the takeoff roll, we're airborne. Like the whole thing was always like, what?
The whole production was,
And then I happened to have two uncles who are pilots.
Yeah.
At the time, only one, because one did it later in life. In fact, that's why I was telling you, one of your guys, that it's still very much. In fact, the younger uncle, the last one, he started when he was older than him by 1 year. And right now he's a captain. He's been flying for very many years. So it's not too late. That's a point of... But I had an uncle who would always visit us because my dad was like the firstborn. So he'd always pity our house to like say what's up. And his swagger for me was just, that was it, man.
Yeah.
He always had the cool clothes.
Yeah.
The shiny car with tint, sunroof when sunroofs were rare.
Yeah.
He once had a Trueno with the lights that, wow. He was just a cool guy. So all of that for me was like, what? I have to become a pilot. Of course, the KQ theme song.
Yeah.
British Airways theme song.
Yeah.
That thing for travel and go, I just loved the idea. So I knew that was what I wanted to do. And I also knew, I realized very young, I'm not an office guy. That I would have really struggled with that, like the office thing. In as much as I was good at academics, I was not seeing how I could do the corporate thing. In fact, when I came today here, I felt very out of place. Like I was just...
because of all that.
Yeah, like, wow. Yeah.
Okay. Typically, how much would it cost? How much in terms of investment? How much would it cost for someone to become a pilot? How much would they need to put in to have the
from start to finish?
PPL and CPL? Yeah, if you're just doing it typically, yeah.
It depends. So although it's not it doesn't change by much. It depends on where you choose to train. So if you train in Kenya, for example, from start to finish, you're looking at about maybe 7.5 to 8 million total. That's from private pilot license. Yeah. Commercial pilot license, and something called a multi-IR, multi-engine instrument rating, that allows you to fly an aircraft with more than one engine, and without reference to outside. Yeah, so that once you have a multi, now you can fly the big boys, the Boeings, the Airbus, the Dash 8s, and etc.
And how long? Okay, so it's 7.5 to 8 million. And how long would it take you to achieve these three licenses?
If you're a stellar student, super focused, remember there's many factors, including things like maandamano, right? Typically, I think the record I've had is maybe a year and some change, but that was not here. Yeah, that was abroad. That was SA. I've had that in SA, and I've had that in the States. Here, maybe a year and a half. That's a very focused guy. Yeah. Remember, with the flying, you have to do the theory as well. Now, the theory is what gets guys, because you have to pass for PPL. On top of the 40 hours you require, you must also get, there's 8 subjects you must pass. Yeah. And then you do a flight test. But you cannot do the flight test without the subjects, the theory done. Yeah, so the theory part is what keeps guys longer. Yeah. Because you start the flying, you get excited, you like the flying. Yeah. Your theory starts to take a backseat. So people who are able to balance well, someone who can finish in a year and a half has done really well for themselves. I'd say that's a very good benchmark.
But that also means that your folks or your support system, whatever the case, has about 8 million of cash willing to invest into you in about a year and a half.
Yes. So another reason why people take long is there's, of course, the payment element, having to stagger your payments for flight school. Yeah. So you'll find... But the dream of flying is a strong one. So you'll find a guy who took 10 years. You'll find a guy who took 15 years. A guy started maybe as a cabin crew, as a loader. Yeah. In fact, cabin crew is pretty high up the chain. The guys who start from literally 1 hour at a time. One hour at a time. Of course, as you go, you develop relationships. People start paying for you an hour here, an hour there. So there's many factors attached. I'd say if you do it abroad, SA, some of the really good schools, if you play your part well, you're looking at 2 years. If you do everything that they tell you to do, how to do it, and you put in the effort accordingly. You look at about 2 years, but now the cost goes up by maybe an extra 2 million or 3 million.
Okay, so you're now like 10, 11 range
because of accommodation.
Yeah. Okay, because I want to talk about the working and business opportunities, but before that, I want to ask you now. So that's a typical pilot, right?
Yeah.
How much did it cost, if we're trying to do a guesstimate, how much did it cost for you to become a pilot? Because you were here, you were in SA, in 2 different schools in SA, and then came back.
So
Yeah.
I don't know the figures. My parents would know better.
Yeah.
But definitely more, because also when you take too long.
Yeah.
You see, if I start doing my PPL.
Yeah.
Let's say I do 10 hours and I stop, and I come back after 6 months, I have to do a refresher, and the refresher is actual flying with an instructor, which costs money. So you end up paying more. That's why it's like for PPL. It's advisable at least raise the money for PPL, which is like 1.5, then proceed. Lest you end up paying double.
Because you can keep paying that. If you take breaks, you can keep paying that 1.5.
Yes, for now, when you get your PPL, you already know how to fly. That cannot, unless you have like a very head injury or something, you can't forget. It's like riding a bike. You know the basics. So for CPL is one you can do an hour at a time until you finish. But that PPL, so for me, definitely I paid maybe 1.5 times the cost because of my struggles.
Because of being in and out of school
and shout out to my parents for bearing with me. That's a very big sacrifice. I mean, even I don't know if I'd have tolerated myself. That's a grace only maybe a parent can have. I know it was also a lot of sacrifice. Not like their coffers are just unlimited. There are many times my dad would be paying for like a renewal and he'd tell me like, do you know what I could do with this? And so big shout out to him and my mom as well. Like, I'm literally here because of their grace as well.
Okay, and let's talk a bit about the business opportunities as a pilot, or the potential of being able to make money, because I guess the opportunities to be a pilot, right? I remember, because I have 2 brothers, my twin brother and my elder brother, who both have PPLs. But I remember my elder brother finishing, and he wanted to be a pilot, and then he was like, no, he didn't want to do it anymore. But I remember there being a lot of discussions around people who had finished their PPLs but weren't able to get jobs. I know.
Well, like, you mean CPL, because you can only fly with
CPL, sorry, yeah. I know my brother's friend who came from South Africa came and was supposed to be trying to convert the license, and he actually ended up like getting a corporate job. I don't think he ever, or if he flew commercially, it was for private institutions, not like the way you'd think KQ or whatever the case is. So what's the job market like after you have after you finish?
Aviation is a global thing, and time immemorial, man, ebbs and flows. There's a guy I talked to on Instagram. He's called the 787 bus driver. He's a United captain, half Chinese, half American. He's been in the game. He has 2 years to retirement, so 2 more years to 65. He has to hang up his license. And he always talks about the ebbs and flows. Like, aviation will come, all of a sudden it's a surge. Right now we're on a very positive wave in the post-COVID era, because a lot of people who are saving realize like at any moment in time, everything can come to a stop. Let's experience life. So people are traveling more than ever. So right now, of course, a lot of companies are hiring. You'll find the Saudis are trying to launch Riyadh, and they're trying to poach Emirates. So if Emirates go, there's space in other carriers. So it trickles down all the way down to Kenya. So because eventually KQ's guys go, there's a lot of jobs.
Spaces,
But before that, there was a season, I'd say from like 2015 to like 2020. T for tough. It was tough. Jobs were scarce. So you'd find people either going into operations. Of course, in operations, you're in the periphery of the people who make the decisions for hiring. So if you work in operations, which is many people would say a tier lower than your job description as a pilot, but you're at least in the power view. So a lot of guys did that to survive and to eventually be the first to be considered. But also aviation requires there's no one I know who has a conventional story where I just went to school and I got a job and everything was perfect.
Yeah.
There's always a story. What people tend to see is the finished product, man. Getting a job, an aviation job, is not easy. Probably get 1,000 is an expression, but I'd say even before I got this job, maybe in the past 2 years before I got it, maybe 60 no's, maybe 5 almost. Yeah, and then finally I got the job. So that grit is required.
Yeah.
As a friend of mine, same thing with cabin crew. There's a friend of mine, he's been trying to get a cabin crew job, and I keep telling him it's not a thing for you send one email and then these guys have taken no. You have to tarmac. I did the tarmacking thing, and tarmacking in the literal way.
Yeah. Like walking up and down.
Yeah, if you've been to Wilson, you know, from the entry all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Literally dropping physical CVs, talking to people, trying to meet the chief pilots of places.
Yeah.
And eventually, that's actually how I got my first ever job before the one I have now.
Yeah.
That was a while back.
Yeah.
I was just, when someone quit, I was the first guy that came to mind because I'd been going there so often.
Yeah.
Yeah.